Hello and welcome to Last Weekly, the weekly show about last week. New episodes.
Uncle Jack, what are you doing?
What? What are you doing? I'm just trying to have a little fun. Oh. Fun sucker. Who put you in charge anyway?
I heard that.
All right. New episodes every Tuesday. Hello and welcome everyone. So maybe a few weeks ago or so, we had shown on the CNC how we cut out the arch section of the frame for the Warren sign from the Annabelle Conjuring movies. And today we're going to show the rest of the frame, the base and the side rails. So as you can see, we start out with like a 4 or 3 inch pine plank or common board or whatever you want to call them, and we cut them down to I think about 1.5 inches width, and we usually get 2 or 3 sections from that single plank or whatever. That way we can make the other pieces. So each piece is 1.5 inches thick. We get 2 or 3, then we cut those to the length needed, if that makes sense. So before there we were cutting the strips, sections or whatever, to the width, and now here we're cutting the length. So I guess I kind of forgot where the camera was and I was standing in front of it. Oops. Okay, so now everything is cut out, and I'm gonna glue it together and then use nail gun, brad nails, and add the nails and the glue just to make sure it's secured. So right there, it's just easier to put glue on one edge and then just kind of wipe them together so both edges have glue. And then I'm going to the edge of the workbench, kind of overhang, so the tip of the nail gun will fit onto the edge. Otherwise the bench gets in the way, I guess. And of course just repeat the process on the other side. And then the same thing with the top arch piece as well. And now I'm being silly. hopefully the fun sucker is not around, because I'm having more fun. Alright, so here's a sign that I made for a friend of mine. In fact, there's another one at the end of this video. The text part of this sign actually was pretty simple, and as you can see, went pretty fast. And I had a friend over, Christy. She wanted to help out where she could. So she's clear coating this sign, and then we're gonna spray paint the words. Actually, the top word is blue, and solutions is gonna be in dark gray. And of course, we are clear coating to kind of seal in the wood. So when we paint the letters, as you can see now, we taped it off. But when we paint it, it won't totally soak in, so we can sand it off. So I'm just going to take some of this tape and move it up just to reuse it, cover up the other word. So I'm just going to remove the tape, and I'm going to sand away the paint that oversprayed, just leaving the paint that's in the letters. The regular sandpaper seems to get clogged, so got some of this kind of mesh sandpaper that seems to help with paint a lot better. Let's speed this up a little bit. Then I'll use the compressor to reveal the letters. Now here's something I've never done before. Put a chain in a sign to, I guess, kind of represent the A in the word. So I had the CNC kind of roughly cut out where I wanted the chains to stick into the wood, but wasn't quite the right depth or shape. So I'm going to take the router and kind of route it out a little more, just so it fits in nicely. What I also have to do, you can see where I kind of use the Sharpie to mark on the chain, but I need to cut through it so I can get rid of some of these links and connect those together, so it kind of makes an endless chain that makes the A. So I'm just using a right angle grinder with a cutoff wheel. And I put the chain into the vise. You can see there's like a cloth around it. I just did that so it wouldn't scratch it up. Alright, so this is the second part of the chain I need to cut off. First part was to cut off the extra, and this one is to link them together, creating the A. Alright, so now I'm going to hand out these openings a little more. I'm going to use this half-inch round over bit. And it's just going to widen it open so the chain fits in there nicely. And it looks like it fits in there now, but I want it to go deeper. So back to the router. And that looks perfect. And you can't really see, but there's some epoxy glue towards the top of the screen, just outside. And I'm going to use that to put in the sections that I just routed out. This glue should hold the chain pretty nicely. Though this is not the right tool for it, so let's switch to a flat screwdriver, because that seems better for some reason. Alright, so I think you get the point. Let's skip ahead a little bit. And there we go. So I asked what we could do with the background, because that seems a little plain, and one good thing to always do is bring out the textures to bring out the torch. So we agreed upon that, and actually Nikki's doing this. Her first attempt at torching came out pretty good. And we just wanted to emphasize the edges more, so we darkened it. But much like the tiki sign I did a couple weeks ago, we're trying to not put the torch where the letters are, just to kind of, again, look like it's glowing or whatever, just so it stands out more. And then, of course, we just, do a little clear coat just to lock everything in. Now we're working on a acrylic sign that we laser cut. This is actually for Nikki's parents. So this project has something in it that I've only done one other time, which is using standoffs, but we'll talk about that a little later. This project, it was cool, but it had its headaches for sure. Just some things that just seem to not want to work the way we intended to. One of the major things that I found out when I first cut this was this little S here in the middle. If you were to think about it, that little piece on the bottom, well, there's nothing holding it on there, so I had to go back in and take away the stencil, I guess, cutouts that it had on there to make them solid S's again. So this has a mahogany base, which I'm cutting down right now just to make it the size we need it. So in the base, we're going to carve Prescott, Arizona. Just the words that out at the bottom, which we will paint black a little later. And then the rest of it's going to be the acrylic. So besides sanding this down to get rid of that price tag, I'm also just gonna go on the edges and give it like a kind of like a chamfer, a slight sanding, just to get rid of the edge. And then of course, every time we paint, we don't want the paint to soak in everywhere else, so we clear coat and then tape around it, and that way we won't get paint everywhere. And then an overall clear coat just to seal everything. But even that gave us some issues. As you can see, there's some kind of little bubbles, or almost looks like dust was in there somehow, but even though I blew it off with the compressor, so I'm not really sure what happened, but I had to send that down again and clear coat it another time. So here I'm just marking the holes for the standoffs. And now I am drilling them. I don't think we really need to watch me drilling holes though, so we'll skip ahead. And here I'm just checking the screw for depth just to make sure it doesn't go through the sign. And yes, even the standoffs gave us issues. This one I stripped, and then the other ones just didn't want to seem to go in correctly, so fun times all around. But before we attach the sign on the standoffs, we're just going to put some hooks on the back. So you'll notice the acrylic sign is now painted. We did not get a lot of that on camera, but I decided not to use it anyway, because that had its issues on its own side. So just appreciate that it's done and it looks good now. And here is the issues with the standoffs. So this is the one that I stripped, and we did put some epoxy in there to hold it down. For whatever reason though, we couldn't get the top part to screw in. But later we just figured out that the bottom part was spinning still, so we had to hold that part and then screw in the top. There was also an alignment issue with the two on the right side. Even though I marked out the holes and drilled them, that seemed to be off by like a couple millimeters, so I had to re-drill those holes in the acrylic just a little bigger. So that was another issue, which stopped the rest of them from screwing in, which you can see here. But in the end, everything looks good, and it all came out just like we had wanted it. So this is the last project, which is the second sign for my friend Mark, actually. And this one is based on the CSETI logo. I don't know if it's CSETI or CSETI or however. I always thought it was CSETI, but it's spelled CSETI. That logo actually has like 3 planets that are kind of complicated in order to like reproduce in a simple form. So we just made them 3 kind of circles, which came out good. So we're just painting the whole thing this kind of baby bluish color, which is what the logo was. So that way, when we carve it out, the paint stays everywhere except for where we carved. But after we painted, we noticed some dips and chips and lines. So just went ahead and took some putty, filled them up, and then we touched it up again with paint. And here we are on the CNC, just getting started, but let's see the overview. You can see how the plane circles are there. And because they're solid circles, and then we're using the V-bit, it's going to take quite a bit to get those all solid and cut out. It's going to make basically circles until it clears everything. If you were to think about it another way, just like take a ballpoint pen and draw a big circle and keep spiraling until you have a whole thing filled in. And I'm sure it would take you quite a bit of time. So if any of you read my Instagram, I was talking about how I found crop circles in the CNC, and this is it. Which, I mean, if you don't understand, crop circles are UFOs, and this is the sign for SETI, who searches for UFOs. But as I said before, the CNC is going to make circles until it completely clears away all of the wood within it. So it starts with this crop circle looking shape, and then it keeps taking more and more away. And it does that with each of the 3 circles. It did carve a little bit of the text though. And here it is drawing the lines that actually connect the 3 circles. So you can see it cleared away a little more. And here they are all cleared. And we're continuing with the text carving now. And the final product came out pretty good. Thank you for watching last. No fun. Where was I? Yada yada things. Last weekly. Be sure to like, subscribe, and until next time, whatever.